when a stock can be bought well below its business value, that probably is the best use of cash. It's something the Washington Post did on a huge scale back in the 1970s. Teledyne may have bought 90% or something or close to it of their stock back. And that was the reason a very significant percentage of companies bought stock back in the past, because they actually thought it was selling for less than it was worth. Like I say, that can be abused if you do various things to bury your stock in one way or another. But that wasn't the usual case. Stock repurchases were relatively unpopular in those days. They've become quite popular now, and to the extent that I've been around a good number of them and been able to pick up on what I thought was the underlying rationale, if not the professed rationale, I think it's often done for people that are hoping that it causes their stock price not to go down, and often done at prices that don't really make a lot of sense for continuing shareholders. If we wanted to return a bunch of cash to shareholders, we would, if our stock was undervalued, we would go to the shareholders and say, we think it's cheap, and we think that this cash can be better used by you than by us, and we will therefore be repurchasing at what we think is a discount intrinsic value, and the people that remain will be better off, and the people that get out will get out at a little bit better price than they would otherwise. In terms of dividends, you get into an expectational situation. And for most companies that pay a cash dividend, it doesn't make sense to bounce around the dividend from year to year, although private companies frequently do that. And we do it ourselves with our subsidiaries. Some subsidiary can pay us a lot of money one year and not so much money the next year. But with public companies, a lot of people do buy stocks to obtain dividends, and they hope for regularity, and there's a signaling aspect to it and everything. So I would say that once you establish a dividend policy with a public company, you should think a long time before you change that policy in a material way. But I think the best use of cash, if you don't have a good use for it in the business, if the stock is underpriced, is to repurchase it, and if it's overpriced, you got no business buying in a single share. But a lot of companies do it. Charlie?